Hi folks, it's Luke Clayton and I want to take you on a backcountry hog hunt with me. I'm out here at Lake Ray Hubbard, which is just east of Dallas, maybe 45 minutes east of Dallas, with my good buddy, Mr. Brandon Sargent, Lead Slingers Guide Service.
When it comes to taking photography of the animal that you take, you want to show great respect to that animal. Make sure that there's no blood showing, the tongue's not hanging out, or anything like that.
Welcome to A Sportsman's Life. We're so glad you tuned in to join us for another exciting real-world outdoor adventure right here on A Sportsman's Life.
Hi folks, it's Luke Clayton and I want to take you on a backcountry hog hunt with me. Now, I'm not in the wilds of the Yukon, I'm in civilization, but the hogs are in the very back. There's a lot of sign back there. I thought it would be fun to pack back in there. Now, I could do it other ways, trust me, but I wanted to pack back in there. This is an old pack I used to use when I was guiding up in Colorado a few years ago on archery, elk, and bear hunts. We're going to take this and hopefully use this to pack the meat out with. I'm going to quarter the meat, but I'm going to show you a few of the things that I think is necessary to go back in there. Now, it's back there, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a mile from where I'm at right here, but I'm going to walk in, hopefully kill a hog, and then quarter him up back there, and I may have to leave the meat out and then make two trips. If I do, I'm going to quarter him up and I'm going to cut this cord up and tie it on his hamstrings, hang the hams and the shoulders and the back straps up in a tree, mark it so the coyotes won't get it, and then go back and get it. Got to have a flashlight, and a good one. This is a good one. He's very dependable. Small light in case this one goes out. You've been out in the woods, you know what I'm talking about. A good knife. I think this is a Benchmade knife, but my son gave me this. I've skinned a lot of critters with it. It's a good knife, not an expensive knife, but a good one. A little pack hatchet, very, very handy. These things, they come in a little scalpel, very handy for quartering up your game when you're in the backcountry. And I will take the luxury of bringing my folding stool because I'm going to be hunting on a trail. What we're going to do, we're going to go back there. Hope this wind's not bothering you too much, folks, but we're going to go back there and this is TRHP Inflamed South Seduction. We're going to put this out on a hog trail, and I'm going to set up back in the brush and see can we shoot a hog. Now, I'm going to have to film it. Well, I didn't mention my rifle. I've got there's a built-in video on my scope here. So hopefully we can plug all this together and I can take you with the hunt through this. You can actually see what's going on. So let's get back there. Let me show you what I'm looking for, and then we'll get set up, and I'm gonna go back in there later this evening and hunt. So here we go. Folks, we are so far back in here, my uncle used to say they have to pump daylight into us. I'm going to head off down in here and try to find a good spot, a good hot hog trail that we're going to set up on. So stay with me. Let's head back here in the woods. Well, folks, I found exactly what I'm looking for. These hogs have been coming out of the bottoms back in here. There's a creek back behind us, not very far. And there's a well-used trail coming right through here. And I am going to put our South Seduction right here. See all these tracks? Gosh, these hogs have been in here thick. I'm going to put our South Seduction off right here by this palmetto. I bet we shoot a hog here. But I'm going to set up and then probably set up about 50 yards from here, maybe 60. Back out of here, hike back in here this evening, and see can we get us some pork on the ground. Here's my setup. Hope you can hear me. It's a little bit windy out here. I don't want to talk real loud, but that palmetto bush where the hog trail is behind me, it looks like I'm in the open, but I'm not. There's a lot of cover out here. So I'm going to slip on out of here, and we're going to get back in here about an hour and a half before dark and see if we can shoot us a hog. So stay with me. And a couple of well-positioned palmettos stuck down in the ground make an awesome front to a blind. I'll be hunting right here next to this old oak, sitting in this stool, And that palmetto where we have baited, the baited one up there with the inflamed sow seduction, is not too far ahead there. Okay, we're slipping out of here now. How about this makeshift blind out of palmettos? Well, friends, I tell you what, did you see all those pigs? There was a sow, probably 160-pound sow, back out there with her that came up really, really close. I don't know if the video picked up the sow or not, but I don't shoot sows with baby pigs. Now, I would have shot every one of those pigs that I could have got a hold of if they were about 15 pounds bigger. But they're back out here in an area in the bottoms where there's no farmland around, anything like that. We'll get those pigs, but we'll have to get them on a different hunt. We vowed, you know, a few years ago when we started A Sportsman's Life to tell it like it is. I've had an absolute ball down here, folks, and by myself. It's a wonder I still remember how to talk. I've been by myself so much down here, but it's a lot of fun getting out like this. Was it a successful hunt? It was. Did I kill a hog? I didn't. So I think that kind of speaks for itself. Let's get on with the rest of the show. What do you say, folks?
Brought to you by Dallas Safari Club, Conservation, Education, and Hunter Advocacy. Hornaday, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus Firearms, maker of the Raging Hunter. Trigicon, brilliant aiming solutions.
Well, folks, welcome to A Sportsman's Life. I tell you what, I'm out here at Lake Ray Hubbard, which is just east of Dallas, maybe 45 minutes east of Dallas, with my good buddy, Mr. Brandon Sargent, Lead Slingers Guide Service. You might have saw the logo there. But you know, Brandon, right now, everybody is thinking about the white bass run. Folks, this is February, and it's so dry, there's not going to be much of a run in a lot of places, you know?
100%.
But this rascal right here knows where they are, right out here behind me at Lake Ray Hubbard. He's been catching a ton of big white bass, sand bass we call them, and hybrids. So, Brandon, let's resume our filming out on the lake. And I want to show you what we're using. Let Brandon show you what kind of bait slabs that we're using, and hopefully a bunch of fish. So let's go get them. What do you say? Well, folks, we are trying to escape the wind, heading out of the harbor here. And Brandon, you have been hammering these big old sand bass, man. I'm excited. How about you? Look excited.
I'm pretty excited to get out there.
We're gonna catch a bunch of them, folks. I'm gonna show you some open water. We're gonna head out. Brandon's got a big old comfortable boat. You see that power plant way, way, way across there, right there. Little rocky. When I was a young man, I helped build that plant as a surveyor. How about that? Right now, we're gonna get out there and head out for open water. See, can we catch a bunch of white bass? Okay, Brandon, you have the Bobo thumper down underneath there. Listen to it thumping, folks. We can't really see it. It's down in there. That thumping sound brings them up, though, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Best thing you could ever own.
The thumper is thumping. Calling them up from the deep. Brandon, you caught one good one, and that screen is lit up. Let's take a quick look at that screen. Just a slight jiggle on the bait. It's a little windier than normal, than it has been out here, but the bite definitely in the middle of the fish. It's just a matter of trying to catch them keep the boat stabilized. All right, buddy.
Look at them all. Look at the screen.
Oh man, another 2 nice fillets right there. Hold him up, let's take a look. That's a nice sand bass, but that's the smallest one we've caught so far.
Got it.
Another 2 good fillets, Mr. Brandon. Folks, here is a box of feisty white bass in the dead of winter. And here is Mr. Brandon Sargent that's on these rascals day after day, buddy.
Got on them again.
Well, Brandon, it was one heck of a trip, buddy. Tell folks how to contact you out here at Ray Hubbard and come out and have some of this fun catching all these fish.
You can go to TexasLeadSlingers.com. There's a Facebook link at the top, or you can book your own trip on any day of the month.
A Sportsman's Life is also brought to you by Air Force Air Guns, H3 Whitetail Solutions, Pyramid Air, Gear the Hunt, Skin 'em Right, Snaplock Hunting Blinds, Smoke and Tex, Sportsman's Connection, Striper Express, TRHP Outdoors, and Ultramatic Feeders.
When it comes to taking photography of the animal that you take, you want to show great respect to that animal. Make sure there's no blood showing, the tongue's not hanging out or anything like that. And a lot of times we use flash, and to prevent that green reflection from coming out, or if you happen to set a deer up and the eye shrinks in, one of the things that I do is I use taxidermy eyes. Now if you look at this eye, it looks like that animal's just been taken, but the fact is it's nothing more than a taxidermy eye that works very similar to a contact lens. You can carry these, go to the taxidermist and get a set of eyes or 2 of different diameters for different size animals that you may hunt, but carry those with you. Then when you take that deer and you want to get a really good photograph and you don't want to get that green reflection, particularly if you're using a flash at night right after you take them, pull those taxidermy eyes out, position them in the eye, and guess what? You're going to have an absolutely fantastic photo.
Conservation Today is brought to you by Hayden Outdoors Real Estate, the brand that sells the land. Visit HaydenOutdoors.com to find or sell your farm, ranch, or recreational property.
Well, you think you want to buy a hunting ranch down in Texas? The market today, a lot of people are buying cattle ranches, and the prices they're bringing, you can't justify to buy them as a cattle ranch. So if you're going to buy a ranch, turns out you get a cattle ranch, but you want to make it into a hunting ranch. Do you need to get rid of all those cattle? Do you want to keep some cattle around? You want to make sure you've got water. How much water do you need? And what type of food sources are best? And is there enough cover on that ranch for the whitetails to stay in?
Well folks, today we're going to make some campfire gusada. There's a lot of different ways to make gusada, which is a Mexican dish. We're going to make some out of some wild pork and some venison cubed up. So let me kind of walk you through the process. This is a basic gusada recipe, so a lot of variations, but we'll get started off with the basics. So let me show you some of the parts that we're going to be using. Okay folks, here's our deer antler pot holder. We're going to be cooking over this fire right here, and this is some B&B charcoal wood that we're going to be cooking with. Comes in a bag. You get it at Buc-ee's, a lot of different places. There's some of the wood right there, and I'll walk you right over here and show you. Here is the cast iron pot with some cubed up venison and pork in it. So that's our start. Well folks, we are just about ready to make this meat tender. Now it's brown here. I put an onion in here with it, and it's all kind of sauteed down, but it's not tender. We're going to have to cook it a while. Now here is the secret to making easy carne asada. Fiesta brand. You can get this just about any store. Carne Esada seasoning. Makes it so much easier. Rather than mixing all the spices, just put some of this in. I've already added some, but this has actually got some thickener in it. I'm not sure exactly what they use, but this will actually thicken your gusada. Now, as often is the case, my cooking has morphed into another idea. I think I would like to have a stew, more of a guisado stew. So for that, let's put some tomatoes in the stew, can of tomato sauce. Always stir after you add every ingredient. And how about some carrots and potatoes? This is going to be a stew that tastes, well, it's going to be guisado, okay, but I told you there's a lot of variations the way you make guisado. We're going to make this into somewhat of a stew. And we're going to put a lid on this. We're going to cook it for about an hour, but it's going to require some more water. And actually, I'll probably put just a little bit more water in there. This stew is going to taste just like guisado, but it's going to have the vegetables in it. Now, we could have just cooked the meat. That's the traditional guisado. Okay, folks, let's put a lid on it, and we'll come back and I'll actually check it in about 30-40 minutes, make sure it doesn't stick, and then we'll test us, put some of this in a bowl and test it out. Let's make it tender now. Well, my friends, I'll tell you what let's do. Let's take the lid off and take a look here. Here we go. Actually, we have made a guisado stew. Well, folks, as is often the case in my cooking, I kind of morph recipes as I cook. This time, I was really starting to think about just normal guisado, and this has exactly the flavor of guisado. It is guisado, but it's a guisado stew. Let's plate up some of this. Note the fancy tablecloth here that I always use. I've already tasted this, of course, first, folks. But these chunks, these little chunks of meat in here are just as tender as can be. Folks, I'm going to heat up some flour tortillas, put a little more soup in there, stew I should call it. And we're going to have some good guisado stew. Pretty simple stuff. If you just wanted plain old guisado, just make sure and don't put your vegetables. Just cook the meat down and put it on a flour tortilla. I was in the mood for some soup today, or stew, so time to indulge.
Spending time in the woods offers many opportunities to see wildlife in its natural habitat. This bobcat put on quite a show, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I encourage you to get out into the woods and take in all that it has to offer. It's sights like this that keep me coming back. We want to thank you for joining us here on this week's episode. Please join us right back here next week for another exciting adventure on A Sportsman's Life.